Hey, thanks for tuning into this episode. Real quick, before we get started, I just wanted to issue a trigger warning. Things discussed within this episode may cause an emotional response, a physical response, even a nervous system response, or a visceral response. So, first, make sure to take care of yourself. Give yourself the time and space that you need to process this episode, or maybe just pause it here, come back later and listen to it at another date or time. Or maybe you can get a friend, a family member, or a loved one to listen to the episode with you in order to help support you through the episode. And the episode is starting now. Hello, I'm your host, Sean Aaron, and welcome to Dem Bois Podcast. This show is a platform where trans men of color voices can be amplified as we share our transitional stories and many other issues that are relatable to trans men of color in our existence. This show is not only to amplify our voices, but to raise awareness and conversation around our lived experiences. You mentioned that you are a trans athlete.
Yeah.
Professional athlete. You want to talk more about that?
Yeah. So for me, I've always loved fitness from young, really. And then I suppose when I was like, how old was I? Basically, all of my secondary school years, I lived in Spain. So from like 11 to 16, I actually lived in Spain. It was just my mum's dream to go to Spain. So we all had a suitcase each and went, which was a really good lesson in life, because I think that showed me if you want something, don't wait for the stars to align. Like just make some sort of plan, but then you just got to be brave more than anything and just be bold and daring and just make it happen as it goes along. So that's something my mum did. So when I was in Spain, I was really failing at everything at school. And out of that, I used to write poetry when I was really bored. And then I would do a lot of sports. So I'd play like football outside of school. I'd like be bike riding everywhere, swimming. So I was always very active. And then when I came back to the UK, I was 16, 17, I got into acting. So I stopped sport for a couple of years because acting is really time consuming. You always got to get a million different classes of everything that you need to do. So I sort of did that for a couple of years. And then when I started transitioning after the knee injury, I had rehab. And then after that, to continue the rehab, I got a gym membership to keep looking after my knee. And then I started to go to the gym for the first time, and I didn't know what I was doing at all. It's quite funny looking back, but I just kept kind of showing up, kept going. And eventually I got a personal trainer who used to be a bodybuilding champion. I had him for about 5 or 6 months, and that truly was hugely inspirational for me. Like my body completely transformed. I was pre-op, early days on testosterone, but I saw such a big physical difference. So there's parts of my fitness journey that tie into maybe having the power over my body to sort of naturally transition. And then there's the other part where there's been points in my life where everything is crazy. And for my mental health, I find fitness to be very anchoring and also empowering. And even more, most recently, I'd even say healing as well. Because something to add, even though it's slightly off topic, is this year, I lost one of my young trans siblings. I lost them to suicide, and I can't even tell anyone how, you hear about it, you hear about these things, these statistics, nobody's lying, they're real. But to lose one of your own is just, I can't even describe that. And for me, that's what I mean. When I say about the parents, it's just and obviously I'm not blaming anyone's parents, but there's just so many systems in the world that fail trans people. So even if you're an ally listening to this, if you can just be kind and think, any action that you're doing, am I helping this person in any way, or actually am I hindering them? Am I hurting them? Am I suppressing somebody? When we all have decisions to make on a daily basis, being kind literally does not cost anything and doesn't really take up much time usually. So I think always operate from a place where, you don't know the impact that you can have by also being a good person or being kind. So many things in my life. I've had so many miracles, and half of those miracles are honestly a credit to total strangers as well. So it's a bit, just something else to add. But yeah, I think so. For me, this was at the beginning of the year. This was in February, and I basically I was training 2 weeks before this happened with my new coach, thinking about competing at the end of the year or next year. 2 weeks in, got the news that we lost Shay, and my whole world just was like turned upside down. But in spite of that, even though I was completely grieving and broken in many ways, mentally, everything, I still stuck to my training, and and even now, like it's been also a very healing thing, because as I've been doing this, it's almost like a way of processing different emotions, or like shedding layers of skin, as well, which might sound really weird because people might just see my Instagram and go, oh, okay, you're just posing, you're just a pose, or you're just flexing, and just got muscles, whatever. But it's not for me. It's actually been quite like a spiritual sort of journey over the last 6 months with my training. And obviously, like, I'm spending a lot of time in the gym or doing cardio. I'm listening to like different things, trying to again consume better material. So basically, I've been getting ready for this show. It's something I've wanted to do for about 3 or 4 years. But in the middle, we had a global pandemic for about 2 years. I had top surgery as well, so I had to recover. On the build up of that financially, I had to neglect my training and my nutrition. So it's been like loads of crazy stuff. But I'm really excited. I feel like now is the right time for me. And I use kind of that hurt, like that I've experienced, to also power me forward. And when people are rejecting me as a trans athlete, or like when I've got other people looking up to me and saying like, Cairo, what you're doing is inspiring me. You don't have to be an athlete. I just want anyone who sees my journey, especially to the stage, just to think, what do I want in my heart and soul? And anytime I ever told myself that I couldn't do it because I'm trans, or because of the color of my skin, or because of the financial background of my family, know that you can. There's always a way that you can do something, or don't let, just because not many people have done it before, doesn't mean that you can't do it, and you be the example, So, I'm really putting my heart and soul into this competition and into the prep. I'm 2 weeks out from the first show, and it's been like an up and down process. Like I said, it's especially, through grief, it's not been the easiest, but I definitely think I'm the sharpest I've been in years or ever, and physically as well. It's like the two go hand in hand. Obviously, I'm doing it as a bodybuilder, so that is aesthetics. But I would recommend as a coach, like everyone should find a healthy relationship to exercise, even if that just means walking and going outside and getting fresh air and being in the park, or going to the beach, or just taking care of yourself. Because in a fast-paced society, we often neglect ourselves. Like even we do it to ourselves. So it's just finding ways of creating that space for yourself, because it will always benefit your mental health. Whether you've got good mental health currently or poor mental health, it will always improve it. And then we can be better people as well. Like, we're not taking out our anger or putting our attitude on other people. Like, we can give more, because we can top ourselves back up, as well. So we can show up better for people in doing so. These little habits. It's not just about, weight. It's not just about aesthetics. For me, I think fitness can be quite profound, and mental health and fitness, the two go hand in hand. We look, in the pandemic, we saw people's mental health decline really fast. And a lot of it's because people couldn't go out of the house. They couldn't go to the gyms, or, obviously the isolation too, but they weren't isolated things. They were all interlinked.
I want to go back for just a second, and I want to take a moment to honor your friend Shay. And I talked about in episode 3, Surviving Homelessness, about how I battled with suicide ideation. And I want us to go back in order to address somebody that may be listening, because this is real. And I was talking with a friend not too long ago, and we were talking about the statistics of how many trans folks commit suicide, and they couldn't, but they said they just didn't. I guess they said that the numbers shocked them, and they didn't know before because they didn't want to know. They knew that it was bad, but they didn't really want to know how bad it was. So just to talk to somebody who may be listening, who may be on, thinking of something or not feeling well or not being treated well and wanting to transition. Because, we go through those things where our families reject us and different things. I would like you to kind of like speak to someone who may be listening, who may be in that place, if you can.
Mm-hmm. So I would say, no matter how dark the world seems right now, no matter how lost you are right now, know that it's just this moment in time. It doesn't have to be your whole future. It doesn't even matter about yesterday. As long as you don't give up on yourself, there's always hope. And whether sometimes you need to be your own hero, you might need to remove yourself from a situation. It might be having the courage to ask for help, know that you can, but more importantly, know that you matter. You deserve to be here right now. You deserve to be loved, and you will find it. You will find it, but you need to be around so you can receive it. Maybe the people you have in your life, maybe even if it's family, sometimes people they don't live up to our expectations. Sometimes people do neglect or mistreat us, but it doesn't have to be, just because somebody's even family. Like, how many people have chosen family and they find people? You just need to surround yourself with people that you need, so they can elevate you, or you might need to get some support. There's no shame in asking for help. I think being honest, which is not something I usually say, but when I was a teenager, I was very, very depressed. I was depressed for like 2 years running. I'd literally sleep the days away. And although I never really spoke about it, I did have suicidal thoughts because I just didn't want to be here anymore. And I look back on my life, like I'm 31 now, and all the incredible experiences, all these memories, like they would never have been able to happen if I didn't just get through that moment, which at the time feels like the worst pain imaginable. But there is always hope, no matter how small there is, and it just takes, your life can change in an instant. It literally actually just takes one moment and your life can change. And as much as that could be for a negative thing, it could also be for something really positive. So yeah, I don't know that there's more that I'd say, but I just think more than anything, just know that you matter. You deserve to be here. It doesn't, like, fuck what anyone else says. You have a light inside you. You're put on this earth for a reason. And even if you don't know the why yet, that can be your whole journey. One day you will know the why, but you need to go on that adventure and you need to explore. So just, yeah, ask for help. There's no shame in asking for help. So do you know how many people love you and how many people would literally do anything for you that you don't even know right now? Like, just take a second, maybe breathe, maybe sometimes physically, like, remove yourself. Like, sometimes I have to go for a walk, or I might need to go to a certain space or go to cinema, or just go be around your people. You're not, you just need to change that state, and sometimes it could take a small shift. Because beyond that, like, I couldn't tell you, my life has been so good. It's been so hard at points, but I had no self-esteem when I was growing up, and even at points in my early 20s and transitioning, it knocked my confidence. But now you see someone who's really strong and really courageous and all these things, but all these things took time to build. And life is also, I feel like anyone who's had a hard life will also bless you in good things, because it's almost like, hey, you deserve it more than most people because of the hardship that you've gone through. I genuinely believe that. So yeah, I think a lot of my life I've lived on a wing and a prayer, but at the very last minute, I've literally just been saved by like a miracle. So you just got to hang in there. Like, the miracle is coming. It's coming. Open up your eyes, open up your ears, open up your heart. Believe that things can be better, because they can. And if you need to leave a situation, then find the charity. Just take that action. Talk to a friend. Think about the people who care. Like, don't worry about the people who don't. Like, just draw a line to that, and in that moment, just go and be around people who you know. Of course you matter. Of course they care. Of course they love you. They'd literally do anything to make you smile. Anything. And when I think of Shay, like, God, there isn't anything I wouldn't have done, to make sure that they're still here with us. Like, literally, there isn't anything, and they were so loved, and just to remember that you're loved. Like, even if you have to close your eyes, you have to breathe. Like, you're so special, and your path will unfold. You just got to believe that.
Thank you for that. I wanted to add to that to anybody listening, just to say that Sean, Aaron, I love you. I'm telling someone that listening that I love you, and you know what, and I randomly tell people this. I'm like, oh, thank you, I appreciate you, I love you, and like, why are you telling me that? Well, why not? I'm a person that I feel like you can love anybody. You don't have to know a person to love them.
Mm.
Just a part of being a human, and just to know that if you're listening to us and that I love you. I can't speak for you, but I know that me personally, I don't know you, but I love you, and so things get better.
Yeah, no, I echo that. If you're listening to this and you find me, you can always reach out to me on Instagram, and wherever in the world you're hearing this, I love you. Even if I haven't met you yet, it's irrelevant. I love your soul. You're beautiful. Stay strong.
For that. Yeah, thank you for that. So competing in bodybuilding, and how has that worked out for you? So even like with folks saying how you can't compete, to me, bodybuilding, it's about hard work. It's about dedication. It's about showing up. Your nutrition is on point. Your hydration is on point. Your sleep is on point. Who cares, right? That says something to you. If you don't want me to compete against you, then am I better than you? Or are you nervous?
Yeah.
So how do you navigate through that, right? Like how does that, I can imagine it takes a toll.
Yeah. I mean, the actual process of bodybuilding, basically I've literally changed my whole life to get ready for this show. So I've literally moved house. I moved out of my mom's house into a flat share that's close to my gym. So I've literally purposely moved closer to my gym because it's a good gym, and it was in the other side of London to reduce travel time, and because I spend so much time there, especially when I got to do cardio, like fasted cardio, as well as like 2 hours worth of training, and that's without posing or breathing or any of that stuff. So I've literally like changed everything. I've minimize the other career things that I do while I'm in prep. My nutrition's on point, which can be hard. Like, some of it is, there's parts of it that I love. I like the routine. I like the discipline that you get, and I really enjoy those things, or challenging yourself. But there are things that sometimes it is hard to keep having the energy when you're tired, because it was only yesterday since you've maybe done a really great workout, or you sometimes there's cravings that you have. But I think whatever you're up to, I think you just got to remember your goal, have that really clear, and you got to remember your why as well. And for me, part of this prep, I remember one of the voice notes that Shay sent to me, and they were always like so kind and complimentary, and they're like, Cairo, you're destined for great things. And those words like echo around in my head and my heart. And every time I'm trying to do something a little bit bigger than what I'm used to and step up a level, I think of all the people that look up to me, and kind of through the work that I do can give them hope, that they too can go and do whatever they set their heart and soul to. And then in terms of when I'm getting like the pushbacks from organizations or from like people's comments, like the negative stuff, for me, I remember the morning that I got told I couldn't compete in the natural bodybuilding one, even though they invited me, but because apparently I would be disadvantaging cisgendered men because I have low doses of testosterone. And like, I was just like, are you serious?
That makes
like,
no sense.
Are you serious? Like, I was like, are you like, we're not even going to have a conversation? Like, they just sent me this article and said, I'm a doctor. I wrote this article. And it's like, so how many other articles? Like, even at university, you critique articles. Like, no, there's not a perfect article in the world that actually doesn't exist. So for you to act as if it's like something holy that can't be criticized, even that is just stupid. But I just remember being like shocked, because I was not expecting that. I just thought they were going to be like, oh, maybe we need to chat, or maybe we need to do some blood tests to make sure you're not having like extra doses. But I thought there'd be a conversation, and when it was just like a flat no, and then being patronizing and all this stuff on top of it, I was like, wow, that's really transphobic. And I just was shocked. But then I was furious. I was so mad. Like, the next day, my training was so on point. I've never been so furious in all my life. I was so angry, and I was like, I will show them. I will show them. And I just used it to, rather than like, I didn't, at that point, I didn't bother arguing with them, just because, I need to get ready for the shows that I do have. So some of it that could then snowball and take up a lot of time and energy. something I will probably address after my next two shows. Like once I just have a moment to catch up, I will talk about it more. I will get back to that organization. Like, look, just because that's been done before, you can't. It isn't in the policy that you can discriminate, or like without even having a conversation, you're not even open to explore and find some like solutions. Like that's not okay. So I will get back to that, but I'm not going to let it stop me or distract me from the things that I can do right now. So if I go and do well in the other shows, then again, that might open up some more conversations. So sometimes you need to pick your battles, or what you can only focus on so many things at once. And that's what I've learned over the years. You can't, be everywhere all the time. So, but it's not been forgotten, and it's something that I do want to talk about, and I want to raise more awareness, because it's not acceptable. Like the amount of work that goes into it, to just be like, no, you can't do it because you're trans, when it's supposed to be about like anyone should be able to do any career that they want to do, right? So why as trans people we getting rejected from every corner? Like it's not okay. Or there's people that challenge us. It's about no, like we are part of every layer of society, and some of us like sports, some of us like to cook, and I don't know, whatever it is that we like to do, we deserve to be able to take up some space just like everybody else. So yeah, as best as I can, I also try to challenge that in different moments. I just got to pick which thing I focus on. But yeah, that's kind of how I deal with it.
Are you planning to call in these organizations publicly, or are you planning to do it privately?
I think usually I like to go to the source first and do it privately, because sometimes things can be smoothed out more that way, and it gives people a chance to be a bit more human before they get all like HR and political, and just saying what they need to say because they know it might get shown on a different conversation, or before they're very defensive. So sometimes I would like to see if I can capture them more like on a one-to-one human level, because sometimes you can shift someone's mind better that way in my experience. But ultimately, if they are still kind of really, being very discriminative and just not really acceptable, then I will call them out on a more public level, because it's like I've tried to cooperate with you, and if not, then yeah, you deserve to be called out, because we shouldn't have to accept it. So yeah, that's kind of the approach that I take.
It's a good way. I'm looking forward to see how that ends up. I mean, and it's only fair, right? It's supposed to be about your physical body, not your body. And you know what I mean? Like it's about the hard work that you put into it, and that's what's supposed to show on the stage. So bodybuilding is quite expensive, right? To get into into the shows. So you got a fundraiser going on, raising funds for this, correct? Want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I'm currently fundraising, because I mean any sports, sports isn't as accessible to everybody, not especially not when you're competing, as it should be. And as someone who comes from a poorer background, even though I'm working now, obviously I've just moved out, so my rent is more money, and just being trans is all these different expenses that you incur. Every time when I compete as a bodybuilder, you got to think like I'm paying for coaches all year round. That's just my regular coach, and then now I've got to have like a posing coach because you need a routine. Even just something as simple as like the trunks that you wear, your costume, like they you're looking at like it could be like $60, 70 up to 100, up to even 150, depending on what you choose. There's the travel, the entry fees, just all these little things. There's so much expenses that you do. Or if you're overly working, so you might need to have a sports massage to make sure you've got good recovery. Like there's just so many outgoings. So I thought, well, I could either overwork when I finish my competitions and just get completely burnt out, or I can just do what I preach and just ask for help and support and just see what happens. So people have been kind. We're nearly, I think, almost at halfway. Again, like the link to this is in my bio at Cairo Nevitt on Instagram. And yeah, any support is for me. It's not just about like the financial aid. I think it's kind of what I said earlier about that network. Anyone can thrive with a network of support. So every time like I see someone like send me a kind message, or they like what I'm doing, or they actually give me a donation, or even if they haven't got any money, they share. I feel like I'm back. I've got like a whole team of people rooting for me, and again, that gives this the value in that is priceless. That's huge. That gives me that strength when I'm having a hard day, or if I have had someone be a bit transphobic, or yeah, all that support really makes a huge difference. So if anyone wants to check that out or find out more about the story, then you can, and that will be greatly appreciated. And yeah, that's basically what's happening with that.
I'll make sure I put the link in the description so that folks can check that out. I talked about that in another episode about how even just as trans identified folks, how we have to uplift each other and help each other out.
Yes,
So,
yes.
yes.
I love that. Yeah, I've got it's not really official just because I'm always busy, but like an unofficial charity is the non-profit, really should I call it? It's called Uplift. So something I made a couple of years ago. It was around Christmas. A lot of trans people have a hard time, especially when you're dealing with family or wider big family gatherings, or just it's just a hard time for a lot of people. So I made like this social event because I think sometimes we have social groups, but sometimes they can be a bit clinical. Like you're not allowed to actually talk. It's just like, okay, hi, I'm here, I'm trans. Let's talk about this depressing stuff. And sometimes that might be needed in certain spaces, but actually sometimes we just need to connect and vibe and be around each other and just have a good time, like create a nice memory. So I took a group of trans people onto the London Eye in the UK because I was working in the same company. I saved up my tickets for the whole year, got 23 tickets, saved all of them up this year. Took everybody on this experience, and the whole idea was to see yourself from a different point. Because obviously the world turns, and when you're out from above, like everything is so tiny, and I wanted people to see their problems that way. So no matter how big they seem, from a different angle, it can change. And kind of as you come back round, you should be like a different version of yourself. And we had like little speed datings with like mentors, and we had little goodie bags, like with like wellness books and just little self care goodie bags, so like a bubble bath and a candle, just little details, and that was just such a good experience. And then the pandemic happened, but online I ran like a trans and LGBT boot camp, and on Zoom I had people from US, I had people from Scotland, people from all up and down the UK, and it was a great space to provide, or to create a safe space, because it was just my front room and everyone else's homes. And from that, I started raising funds to make the Uplift Fund. And kind of the same way that Point of Pride helped me have access to surgery, like top up on my fundraiser, I raised £1,000 last year, and I have given that out now to two different crowd funds who was like on their last 30 days and needed that extra boost. And that's something that, say, going into next year, I really want to connect to my business and to keep growing and growing, because we need to support each other as a trans community. Like, not just the fundraisers. It's like, if someone's selling a t-shirt, go buy your bro's t-shirt, go buy your sister's t-shirt. Like, the value, because in doing so, financially supporting each other, we're uplifting each other as a whole community. Think about the pink pound. I don't know if it's the same term in America, but like how gay men have operated and how they will hire certain people or make sure they're promoting certain businesses. Like, everyone helps everyone. It's less like, oh no, we're in competition with each other, because I find that a lot, and I really don't like that about the community. There isn't like, there's space for all of us, and I think when you're thinking about the cause, and it's not about like ego, putting people's ego aside, it's about how can we exist better in this world and in society, how can we uplift each other, and how can we empower each other. And doing that is sometimes, I remember somebody was selling some t-shirts from my boot camp, and I bought two. I bought one for me, and I did one as a giveaway, because I really appreciate that they supported me when I lost all my jobs, when everything in the world closed, and they supported my online boot camp. It's just like little things like that. You could have saved me from being homeless because I can't pay my rent because I've got no work. So it's just little things, but it's being intentional about where you're putting your time, your energy, your money, and showing up. If people got events, sometimes even if you're tired, sometimes show up. Go, even if it's free. Like, if you don't go and fill those seats, then people don't think it's needed, and it is. We just need to make more of a conscious effort and keep uplifting each other, because we'll all be stronger when we do that, and it's worth recognizing that.
Absolutely. That was well said. I also think, like, and sometimes folks, we may not have any money, but I think sometimes I mention like, well, maybe you put that don't get that $10 Starbucks and pastry this time, or wherever your coffee house is. Maybe donate that $10 to a charity or to another trans man of color, or something
Mm,
that's
mm,
useful and that will help the community. But I also think like if you really like, hey, I don't have anything to give, I'm barely making it. Well, maybe just share
yeah,
the fundraiser, share the organization, maybe share it with your folks, a network of folks who, you know, do have the $10 or $20 or
yeah,
$100 to
yeah,
donate. So sometimes even better than giving, you can actually share. So I think that's beautiful.
yeah.
Thank you for that.
Sharing is caring.
Absolutely. Hey, this is Sean Aaron, the host of Dem Bois Podcast. Are you enjoying the podcast so far? Great. I'm glad that you are. Would you consider donating today to help support the continuation of this podcast? As you know, this podcast aims to serve as a platform to highlight and amplify the voices of trans men of color and share our transition stories. The podcast not only aims to amplify trans men of color voices, but it also raises awareness around our lived experiences. You would like to donate? Where can you donate? Great. I'm glad that you asked. Link in our description will take you directly to Network for Good, whom we've partnered with in order to collect donations for the podcast. Or you can visit our website. On the website, click the donate button, and from there, you are able to donate directly to the podcast. All donations are tax deductible. What does the donations go to? Oh, I'm glad that you asked. Your donation will help to support our production costs. We are working with Jasmine from Pink Lady Productions that brings you this awesome content. And also, we pay our guests an honorarium. Pay our guests an honorarium. Yes, we do. Why? Because as trans men of color, we would like to support and uplift each other and honor the time that's given out to come here and share their stories. So if you love this podcast, share and donate. See you on the next episode. Take care. And by looking at your physique, when I looked on your Instagram photos, I'm like, is there any picture here where you got a shirt on? I'm like, yeah,
I'm
you
guilty.
making me, you making me look bad. But yes, I definitely think that folks should support you. So, and it's not also about being in bodybuilding, but it's also about visibility and it's about starting conversations.
Yeah, I think a lot of what I do online, like, and I'm someone that I think definitely next year I will, when I have more time, I'm gonna rebrand. Or even thinking about how I come across in general. Like, I think, say even as a coach, like sometimes people might see something on Instagram and be like, "Oh my God, Kyra, like, you're going to failure on a set, and you look kind of really intense, maybe even a bit aggressive or a bit intimidating." And you meet me, and I'm like such a relaxed, chilled, kind of, calm energy. It's like the opposite. But I'm like, there's moments for different things. Like there's when I'm in the gym and I'm training like I'm in business. I've got a lot more. The stakes are higher for me as a trans athlete. How many people don't even want me to be there? So when I go on stage, I'm not going just to play to play. I'm going to win. I need to bring my best self, and that does require that grit and that blood, sweat, and tears that goes into my training and that kind of mentality. But also as a person, like I care about well-being. I care about community causes. I care about empowering people. So there's all these different sides to me that I think sometimes just anyone's Instagram, like sometimes we might have to promote ourselves in a certain way for a certain opportunity, but to not get too caught up and just think that that's all of a person, too judgmental and think that's all of a person is, because everybody, even people, everyone has layers to them, and yeah, that's also really important. And I think as well, like people forget that even as an actor and a model, I'm always going up against cis men, and they're all doing that stuff. So it's like if I don't do it and I get a casting and they go and send you Instagram, it's like I won't get called in even just to audition. So it's a balancing act. I think I definitely want to do more guest speaking and talk so I can show the other sides to what I do as well, truthfully. But yeah, I don't. I think anyone that sees my pictures, I just want you to see. It doesn't matter what your grind is. You could be like a musician. I want to go on your Instagram. I want to see you in your studio. I want to see you writing. I want to see you doing your meetings. I want to see the consistency. I want to see that. So when you see me in the gym, rather than like, oh, the car's in the gym, be like, actually, that's a person who's consistent in whatever mission or whatever dream they have right now. And that could change. I might do more acting next year. And again, you might hopefully see me learning my lines, whatever it is. Even if he was like, I don't know, you was going to set up a business, you're making cakes. I want to see you bake. I want to see your passion. Like, let it come through, you know?
Such a good point. Yeah. But I wasn't trying to make you feel bad about the shirt. I was feeling.
Oh, no. Not you, but it is something that comes up. So I just think online, people that don't get the chance to chat to me, it's just like, you know, I don't want I don't want you to feel bad. Like, I just want you to either be inspired or just be like, well, that's just where Cairo is right now. And don't worry, because, you know, after my shows, I'm not, you know, something to being honest about my body at the moment. I'm at a really low body fat percentage, and I'm always transparent about things. That isn't sustainable. Even if you're a pro model or you're a pro bodybuilder, nobody, just so people know out there, when you're comparing to anybody online, nobody stays like that all year round. It's not sustainable the whole year. There's different seasons and there's different times, and everyone has different moments in their life. So don't be too harsh on yourself. Again, always be kind to yourself. And if there's something in you that you want to change, and again, like anything, you can make a decision to make one good habit change in the direction of whatever your goal is, and know that you can, and feel empowered that you can, rather than be like, oh my God, I can't do it. You can. I believe you can.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, you are super lean. I was like, goodness, I need to go get my workout in today.
I need to get me some Five Guys. That's what I need. That's my birthday's basically the week after my last show. So after that, all like the sacrifice that I've been doing the whole summer, because I have been on a strict diet, I am going to be like, I'm going to have some fun and have that balance, you know, and make sure I'm getting some nice juicy burgers in. You know, all that stuff is literally my favorite burger. It's my favorite, so I'm probably going to have a birthday party in Five Guys, and then I'm going to sort something fun, something fun as well. Like, I swear to you.
Yeah, you got to get one of those shakes too. They have some really good.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture.
Oh yes, definitely.
I'll do a follow up.
Yeah. So this is the part of the show where I like to ask the guest a random question. So I'm always coming up with this list of questions. So I just came up with three other questions within the last couple of days. So I have 26 questions now. The question may or may not have anything to do with what we talked about today. So you just give me a number between 1 and 26 and I'll read that question.
Okay. 14.
Okay. 14 says, what is something you attempted to do but stopped because you found it too challenging?
Oh, God. Damn, already. What did I find too challenging? Okay, something I haven't finished. So in lockdown, I was really good at keeping myself active. I did loads of free courses and stuff. And then one of them I did, well, it wasn't free, but I paid for neuro-linguistic programming because I love life coaching. So I started that, and I actually finished all the written work in lockdown. But because it was lockdown, I couldn't do the practical part because I had to meet loads of people and do like case studies. So it's something I've started, and in the end, I haven't finished it yet. So usually I finish pretty much everything that I do, even if it's hard. Like, I could have told you I had to do like physics and chemistry, and I wanted to cry every single lesson, but I did pass it eventually. So I'm someone that usually, if it's hard, even if it takes me 10 years, I will usually get there. I just keep going. I might have a break, but I keep going back. So for me, yeah, neuro-linguistic programming, I've only got half, but I can't get the qualification until I get the whole thing. So I do want to finish it. So that is something that will make me happy, but it's just making some space and time for it. But yeah, I can't really think of any other things. I mean, basically all summer last year, I was getting ready for a show, like an army show, and you have to face all your fears. So I'm scared of heights. I said I could swim, and I couldn't swim in the casting. I lied because sometimes you got to say stuff, and I knew I had time, so then I had to get a swimming coach. So at points I couldn't barely swim, or I definitely did not like going in the deep end. But eventually, I did. So I'm someone that I genuinely believe you got to feel the fear and do it anyway.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
That's very good advice. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I was going to say my challenging thing that I didn't finish is learning how to swim. Water is my number one fear. I'm scared to drown. So every time I try, I never finish the lessons because I'm just too scared. And so your advice was what? To keep
feel the fear and do it anyway. Keep going. You just got to keep going. Yeah. Or even if it takes you 10 years, it could take you 10, 20 lessons. Even if you just get your toe a little bit closer in the water, like tiny progress. But often we think of progress like we have to jump like these big leaps and bounds. But actually, it could be 1%. It could be the tiniest little bit, 1 second longer. Like at one point, they were making me go underwater, and that I didn't. I didn't like being underwater. I did not like holding my breath. That was giving me a lot of anxiety. But I knew that if I did the show, I would be like submerged underwater. So I had to practice. And the first time I did it, and this was just, I could stand up whenever I wanted to. I could touch the floor. But the first time I literally did it for like 5 or 10 seconds and completely freaked out. And then I think maybe after maybe a month, I could do it for 30 seconds. I think at that point my lessons finished. I didn't get to the minute. But from the first 5 seconds to 30 seconds, yeah, it was a lot. It's weird how you change. I remember actually one day I was swimming by myself. This was the day I didn't have a coach. It was like my own practice. And it was the first time going from like the shallow to the deep end. And obviously you can see like the dip. And obviously when you're scared, like that looks 10 times as bigger. And I had decided to go, and I was like, okay, we've decided. So you're in the process of swimming. I was already at the middle point, in the middle of the swimming lane. And then as I was going over the deep end, I could suddenly hear like the anxiety, like really loud. I could almost on the edge of probably having a panic attack, truthfully, if I'd have continued with it. And then I just had this like inner voice, which is, again, this is weird that I'm saying this out loud, but I was just saying like to myself, Cairo, now is not the time to doubt yourself.
Yeah.
But literally what we're in it already. We're already here. We've already committed. So now is the time to believe in yourself. It's not as far as you think it is, or you've got here by doing the same technique. So now you just need to believe in yourself, and you just need to keep doing the next, I don't know, whatever the swim part is, finish. And then when I did, like as silly as that sounds, have this conversation with yourself, once I got to the edge and I just took a moment to like appreciate how big of a fear that I just overcome, it was really good. And then I could do it again, and every time it's a little bit easier. But we get this fight or flight feeling, and sometimes it's okay to just hold on for a second longer, because you'll get that breakthrough moment where if you go no, and you pull back too soon, like sometimes you'll just be stuck there for a longer time. So I'd like to challenge you to see if you can do another swim session, even if you just get 1% better. I would love to see how you felt afterwards doing that. How much more how you'd feel.
All right. Challenge accepted. I'll update
Yeah.
you.
There's
If
no
I'm no
time
longer
limit on
here, I
that.
die.
See safety, get a lifeguard,
Like,
and don't no open water. Like maybe do it in a pool where you could be safe, but
yeah. What about a
try.
kiddie pool? Can I do a kiddie pool?
Okay,
Would that
yeah,
count?
yeah.
Okay.
FBA.
All right,
We're gonna start
Cairo.
somewhere.
Great. Cairo, thank you for being a guest on the show. I appreciate you. Good luck on your shows, and we're gonna send some messages and good love to you to do well.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.
If you yourself or someone you know is having a difficult time, there's some resources out there for you. First is the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, formerly known as the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Their phone number is 1-800-273-8255. Also, there's a Trans Lifeline, which is a peer support phone service run by trans people for trans people. Their phone number is 877-565-8860. Then there's the Trevor Project, which provides 24/7 crisis support to LGBTQ youth. Their phone number is 866-488-7386. Also, Sage LGBTQ plus Elder Hotline. This connects LGBTQ older people who want to talk to other friendly responders who are ready to listen. Their phone number is 877-360-5428. Lastly, there's the Veterans Crisis Line for veterans, military personnel, and their families. You can call 988 and press 1 or text 838-255. If you would like to know more information about these resources, be sure to follow this episode, click on the show notes, and from there you will be able to find out more information about each of these resources. Thank you for listening to today's show. Once again, I'm your host. My name is Sean Aaron. Be sure to like, be sure to share this show out with folks in your networks. If you would like to connect with us, be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. You can also visit our website at dembois.org. That's DEMBOIS.org. If you think you will make a great guest on the show, or maybe you have a question for myself or a future guest that you would like to hear answered on the show, please send an email to hello@dembois.org. That's HELLO@dembois.org. Until next time, take care.